When I arrived at my daughter's wedding, I couldn't find a place card with my name on any of the 150 seats. I asked my daughter where I should sit, and she replied indifferently, "Oh, we completely forgot about you. You can sit there," and pointed to a folding table near the restroom. I didn't get angry, I just left. But an hour later, her perfect wedding turned into a nightmare of betrayal and revenge, where justice struck unexpectedly and cruelly. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. The place cards covered 2 tables at the entrance to the Cascade Ballroom, white cards with gold lettering, arranged in perfect alphabetical order. I pushed my reading glasses up and ran my finger along the rows. Anderson, Bailey, Chen, Davis. My finger moved faster. Martinez, Nelson, O'Brien, Patterson. Nothing. I started over from the beginning, checking each name twice. 150 guests. Every single one accounted for except me. The tie I'd bought specifically for today suddenly felt too tight. I loosened it half an inch and looked around the ballroom. Crystal chandeliers, white roses everywhere, ice sculptures already starting to sweat under the lights. Frida had insisted on the Grand Marquis because it was Portland's premier venue. I'd smiled and nodded when she told me that, same as I'd done when she'd needed $35,000 for college and $20,000 for her house down payment. "Frida, honey, I can't seem to find my—" "Oh my God, Dad, not now. I'm literally—" "Lisa, did you get those flowers moved?" "Sorry, Dad. What?" She didn't look at me. Her eyes tracked 3 bridesmaids carrying centerpieces across the room. The white dress probably cost more than my first car. The irony wasn't lost on me. "My place card. Where am I sitting?" "Oh. Oh, wow. We totally—" She finally looked at me and something flickered across her face. Not guilt, exactly. More like irritation that she had to deal with this right now. "You know what? Just sit there." She pointed toward the northeast corner, past the head table, past the premium seating near the windows, past the regular guest tables, to a folding table positioned exactly 3 feet from the restroom corridor. "By the restrooms? It's just for dinner, Dad. God, it's my wedding day, can you not—" A bridesmaid pulled her away before she finished. I stood there with my hand still raised, mid-gesture, looking at that folding table. Someone had tried to dress it up with a white tablecloth, but the thing had a wobble. Naturally. Nothing says, "We value you," quite like unstable furniture next to a bathroom that flushed every 90 seconds. A waiter passed with champagne flutes on a silver tray. I took one, held it for a moment, then set it down untouched on a windowsill. The crystal clinked against the marble sill. $75 per person for this reception, I'd heard through the family grapevine. Guess they had to cut costs somewhere, like, say, a chair for the bride's father. Homer stood near the head table, surrounded by a cluster of his college friends. His tuxedo probably cost more than my car payment used to be, back when I had a car payment. His voice carried across the room, loud enough that I didn't have to strain to hear. And we did this completely ourselves. Every penny. Nobody handed us anything. One of his friends, a guy with styled hair and expensive shoes, nodded appreciatively. "That's impressive. Young people these days usually need help from parents." "Not us. We believe in earning our own way, you know, building something real." I stood 15 feet away, champagne flute in hand. Well, not in hand anymore. I'd set it down. The irony of his speech was so heavy I could have used it as a paperweight. Self-made. Every penny. I'd written the check for Frida's education 6 years ago, watched her sign the papers for her house with my $20,000 sitting in the escrow account, helped them move in, carried boxes up 3 flights of stairs while Homer directed traffic from the sidewalk. My dress shoes clicked on the marble floor as I walked toward the exit. Not rushed, not dramatic, just a steady, deliberate pace past the guest tables, past the gift table where the envelopes were starting to pile up, past the easel with their engagement photos. "Frida, isn't that your dad leaving?" That was Veronica, the maid of honor. I recognized her voice from 50 feet away. 35 years coordinating events teaches you to distinguish voices in crowded rooms. He's probably just getting air. He's so dramatic lately. Should someone— "Ronnie, I have 200 things happening right now. He'll be fine." I pushed through the ballroom doors and headed for the elevator. The hotel lobby was full of other wedding guests arriving late, fixing their ties, checking their makeup in the gilt mirrors. Nobody looked at me twice. Just another older guy in a suit leaving an event early. Happens all the time. The parking garage was cooler than the ballroom. Level 2, Section C, Spot 47. My 2018 Toyota Camry sat exactly where I'd left it 3 hours earlier. I'd arrived at 3:45 for the 4 o'clock ceremony, sat through the whole thing in the chapel on the second floor, watched Frida walk down the aisle without me because Homer's father had that honor, clapped when they kissed, stood for the recessional, did everything a father of the bride should do, right up until the moment I tried to find my seat at my daughter's reception. I sat in the driver's seat without starting the engine. My hands shook slightly as I pulled out my phone. One notification. A text from Philip, sent 20 minutes ago while I was searching for my name on those place cards. Dad, congrats on Frida's big day. Sorry I couldn't make it. Send pics. Philip was in Tokyo. Software engineer for some company I couldn't pronounce. He'd sent his regrets 3 months ago, and I'd told him not to worry about it. Flights were expensive. He had his own life. I'd stared at his text message for a long moment, then swiped it away without responding. My contacts list had 237 names in it. 35 years in the event coordination business leaves you with a lot of friends. Vendors who owed me favors. Coordinators I'd trained. Venues that still called me for advice, even though I'd retired 3 years ago. I scrolled to the H's. Heather Mitchell. Events. We'd worked together on the Portland Convention Center contract back in 2018. She'd saved my life during the Chen wedding disaster when the ice sculpture melted 2 hours early. I'd returned the favor during the Morrison anniversary, when her DJ got food poisoning. I pressed her number. The call rang twice. Foreman, that you? How's the wedding? Heather's voice came through clear and bright. Background noise suggested she was at home. Television on, maybe. A dog barking somewhere in the distance. I need a favor. The television noise stopped. Okay. What kind of favor? I put the phone on speaker and started the car engine. Not to drive. Just for the heat. The parking garage was colder than I'd expected, and my hands needed something to do besides shake. Remember that Cascade Ballroom booking? Today's event? A pause. Longer than comfortable. That's your daughter's wedding. You're calling me from your daughter's. They sat me at a folding table, by the restrooms. Heather, they forgot to put my name on any seating chart. The pause stretched longer this time. I could hear her breathing, processing. Then, those little shits. I need 45 minutes. Can you help me? What do you need? I pulled out my silver thermos from under the seat. Emergency kit from my event coordinator days. Coffee was probably cold by now, but I'd drunk worse. I poured some into the cup cap and took a sip. Still warm. Good enough. Just some phone calls. I'll handle the details. I just need you to coordinate timing. Foreman. Her voice got serious. Professional. Are you sure about this? This is your daughter's. She pointed at a folding table like she was directing traffic. Didn't even look at me while she did it. What's the timeline? I adjusted the rearview mirror so I could see the ballroom windows 3 floors up. White curtains. Silhouettes moving behind them. Dinner was scheduled for 5:30. Right now, it was 5:07. Cocktail hour ends in 23 minutes. I need things to start falling apart right after they serve salad. Give me the vendor list. I spent the next 15 minutes making calls. My fingers drummed on the steering wheel between each one. Muscle memory from 3 decades of crisis management. Call the problem. Solve the problem. Move to the next problem. Never let them see you sweat, Marcus answered on the 3rd ring. Lighting tech I'd worked with on at least 50 events. Foreman, man, it's been what, 3 years? How's retirement treating you? I need you to make a phone call to the Grand Marquis. Tell them there's an outstanding bill on the lighting for the Cascade Ballroom event tonight. Silence. Then, but there isn't... Wait, is this... $500. Cash. Venmo works too. When do you need this? Right after they serve cocktails, around 5:45. Consider it done. Janet from Elite Catering came next. I sent her a text instead of calling. Easier that way, less explanation required. Hey Janet, need a small favor. The Clark wedding today, can you delay the main course? Say there was an address mix-up? Her response came back in 30 seconds. Foreman, Is this about that bride who yelled at my staff last week during tasting? Maybe. Say no more. Entrees will be stuck in traffic. How long? At least an hour. Done. And foreman? Where even for that time I screwed up the Morrison anniversary. The best part about being an event coordinator for 35 years isn't the connections. It's knowing exactly which vendor holds a grudge against which client. Frida had apparently lectured Janet's catering staff about proper salmon preparation during her tasting. Janet remembered. Tommy the DJ was easy. I'd gotten him out of a contract dispute 2 years ago. He owed me. Family emergency, he said when I explained what I needed. I'll pack up right after dinner service starts. Very apologetic. Very sudden. The photographer took the longest to convince, but Brad finally agreed when I reminded him about the deposit I'd fronted him for his equipment upgrade. I'll text them at 5:55. Tell them I'm sick. Food poisoning. Very sorry. Recommend a replacement who's conveniently unavailable. By 5:30, I had everything in place. I poured more coffee and settled in to watch. The ballroom windows glowed warm and golden 3 floors up. I could see people moving between the tables. Dinner service had started. Salad course first, just like they'd planned. 5:43. A bellhop rushed out of the hotel entrance below my parking spot. He moved fast, practically running. Returned 2 minutes later with someone in a manager's suit. They both disappeared inside. 5:47. The ballroom lights flickered, went out completely, came back on emergency lighting only, dim and yellowish. The hotel manager appeared in the ballroom doorway. Even from 3 floors down and 50 yards away, I could see his face. In this business, we call that expression the realization. It's the moment someone understands their perfect event is about to become a case study in what not to do. Frida's white dress appeared in one window, then another, then back to the first. She was moving fast, angry fast. Her veil had come askew. I could see her hands gesturing, even from this distance. Homer grabbed the event coordinator's arm. The coordinator pulled away, gestured helplessly toward the ceiling. The lights flickered again, but stayed dim. 5:52. The catering manager appeared. I couldn't hear the conversation, but I could read body language. Bad news. Very bad news. Frida's hands went up in the air. Homer started pacing. 5:56. Tommy began packing up his equipment on the far side of the ballroom. I watched him disconnect speakers, coil cables, load cases. Methodical, professional. Apologetic, probably, but firm. Family emergency. These things happen. 6:01. Someone was on their phone, probably trying to reach the photographer. Brad wouldn't answer. He'd text in 4 more minutes with his food poisoning excuse. I took another sip of coffee. It had gone cold. The parking garage was quiet, except for the distant sound of cars on the street level and the occasional elevator ding. My phone sat on the passenger seat, screen dark. Then it buzzed. Not a call. A text. I picked it up, expecting Heather with a status update. But it wasn't Heather. Dad, some bank called me as your emergency contact. Said you're 90 days behind on $75,000 loan. I tried calling you, but it went to voicemail. This can't be right. I read the message once, twice, 3 times. My thumb scrolled up and down like the motion would change the words somehow. $75,000. The coffee cup slipped from my hand. Brown liquid splashed across the center console, soaked into the fabric, dripped onto the floor mat. I didn't move to clean it. My other hand gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. I'd never taken out a loan that size in my life. My mortgage had been paid off in 2019. I'd celebrated with a bottle of cheap champagne and a steak dinner. My car was 7 years old, bought with cash from my retirement fund. I didn't even carry a credit card balance. I'd paid cash for almost everything since my wife died in 2021. Less complicated that way, less to manage. I looked up at the ballroom windows. Through the glass, I could see Frida's white dress moving between tables. She was probably apologizing to guests, probably promising that everything would be fixed soon, probably lying with the same smile she'd given me when she pointed at that folding table. The phone buzzed again. Another text from Philip, sent from Tokyo, where it was Sunday morning and he was probably sitting at his kitchen table, drinking matcha and worrying about his father. Dad, please call me. I'm worried. I opened my recent calls log. The list of names I'd just contacted stared back at me. Heather, Marcus, Janet, Tommy, Brad. Below them was a name I hadn't noticed in years. Bank of America, dated 18 months ago. An incoming call I dismissed as spam. I got a lot of those. Credit card offers, student loan refinancing. I deleted them all without listening. But this one had been real. Something cold settled in my stomach. Not the good kind of cold you get from revenge well executed. The bad kind. The kind that says something is very, very wrong, and you missed it completely because you were too busy living your life to notice someone was stealing it. I scrolled back to Philip's messages and typed a response, then deleted it. Typed again. Deleted again. My hands were shaking worse now. Coffee still dripped onto the floor mat. Finally, I just wrote, "I'll call you in 10 minutes. Everything's fine." But it wasn't fine. I looked at that Bank of America call log entry. 18 months ago, June 2023. I tried to remember what I'd been doing back then. Probably working on the garden. Maybe taking that trip to see Philip in Seattle before he moved to Tokyo. Regular life. Normal life. The kind of life where you don't expect your own daughter to take out loans in your name. Because that's what this was. That's what it had to be. I didn't have $75,000 in debt because I didn't take out $75,000 in loans. Someone else did. Someone who had access to my information, my social security number, my banking details, my signature on file at the bank from legitimate transactions. Someone who knew exactly how to make herself look like a responsible daughter, helping her aging father manage his finances. I gripped the phone harder. Up in the ballroom, the lights flickered again. The guests were probably getting restless. The wedding I'd just sabotaged was falling apart beautifully, exactly as I'd planned. But this was different. This wasn't a folding table by the restrooms. This wasn't a snub at a wedding reception. This was something else entirely. Sunday morning arrived with rain. I'd driven home from the hotel Saturday night, around 7, tried calling Philip back, got his voicemail because it was 9 a.m. Monday in Tokyo, and he was probably in a meeting. Spent the night at my kitchen table with my laptop open, searching loan fraud elderly parents, until I had 16 tabs open and still no answers that helped. By 8:15 Sunday morning, I was dressed and pulling into the Bank of America parking lot on SW 5th Avenue. The building was dark. I walked up to the glass doors and pulled. Locked. A small sign listed hours. Monday, Friday, 9 a.m., 5 p.m. Saturday, 9 a.m., 1 p.m. Closed Sundays. My fist hit the steering wheel. Once, twice, 3 times. Then I sat there breathing hard, rain drumming on the roof, realizing I had to wait another entire day to get answers I needed 5 minutes ago. The drive home took 20 minutes through empty Sunday streets. I made coffee, drank it standing by the sink, made more coffee, sat at my dining table, stood up, paced to the window, back to the table. The wedding program from 1980 was still there, mocking me with my own handwriting about trust. Monday morning, I was at the bank 17 minutes before they opened. My car sat in the front row, engine running, heat blasting, coffee from 7-Eleven in the cup holder. At exactly 9:02 a.m., I walked through the doors and approached the first available representative. I need to see all loans associated with my social security number. The woman looked up from her computer. Patricia Coleman, according to her nameplate. Mid-40s, sympathetic eyes, wedding ring that looked like it had been there a while. "Of course, Mr. Wright. May I ask what this is regarding?" I slid my driver's license and a piece of paper with my account number across her desk. My son called me from Japan saying someone contacted him about a $75,000 debt in my name. She took my ID, typed some information, her eyes moving across the screen. Then she stopped typing. Her expression changed slightly. I'd seen that look before, back when I coordinated events. The look someone gets when they discover the problem is worse than the client realized. "I'm showing 3 personal loans. First originated December 7th, 2023, $25,000. My pen started tapping against the notepad I'd brought. Tap, 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 tap. "That's impossible. I didn't. Second loan, June 15th, 2024, 25,000. Tap, tap, tap. Wait. Third loan, October 3rd, 2024, 25,000. Total outstanding balance with interest is $78,412. 90 days past due as of last Friday." The pen stopped tapping. My hand just froze there, pressed against the notepad. 78,000, not 75. The interest had grown while I didn't know the debt existed. Can you show me the applications? Certainly. I'll need to print these. Give me just a moment. The printer behind her desk started up. The sound seemed too loud. 23 pages, she'd said on the phone later when I asked. The printer jammed twice. Even the machine didn't want to show me this. She handed me the stack. I flipped through the first few pages. Standard loan application. Name, address, social security number. All mine. Employment history. I'd listed retired event coordinator. Income verification. Bank statements I didn't remember providing, but that had my account numbers on them. And signatures. My signature. On every page that required one. The handwriting was mine. The loops in the F, the way I crossed my T's, everything. Page 7 had a date. December 7th, 2023. I closed my eyes and tried to remember that day. 6 months after Sarah died. I'd probably been in the garden, or maybe organizing her clothes to donate. Depression fog, moving through days without really being present in them. The second loan application, June 2024. The third, October 2024. Each one with my signature. Each one legitimate looking enough that any bank officer would have approved it. Mr. Wright, is there anything else I can help you with today? I looked up. Patricia Coleman was watching me with that sympathetic expression bank employees learn. The one that says, I'm sorry this is happening, but I can't actually fix it. No, thank you. I drove home with the papers in a manila envelope on the passenger seat. Every stoplight felt like it took an hour. Back at my apartment, I went straight to my bedroom closet and pulled out an old Nike shoebox from the top shelf. Corners worn, lid barely staying on. Inside were documents I'd kept from over the years. Sarah's death certificate, my retirement papers from 2022, tax returns, birth certificates, and a manila folder labeled Dad's Important Stuff in Frida's handwriting. I sat on my bedroom floor with the box contents spread around me. The folder sat in my lap. Inside were insurance documents. Life insurance policy beneficiary forms with Philip and Frida listed. Health insurance papers. Standard stuff. Underneath those, stapled together with a red piece of paper on top that said, Financial planning. Keep secure. Loan applications. 3 of them. Bank of America. My signature on every page. I'd signed these. I remembered now. May 22-24. Frida and Homer had come over for Sunday dinner. They'd brought the papers with them, spread them out on this same kitchen table where I was sitting now. Dad, this is just to make sure if something happens to you, the insurance company knows who to contact. That was Frida, putting the pen in my hand, pointing to signature lines. Homer had been helpful, almost cheerful. My financial advisor recommended everyone over 65 should have these updated. Just standard stuff. Initial here, sign here, date here. I'd signed. One paper, then another, then another. They'd explained something about credit availability for emergencies, about making sure I had options if I needed them. The words had washed over me while I nodded and signed and trusted my daughter to handle the details. Thanks, Dad. You're always looking out for us. Frida had hugged me, made me a grilled cheese sandwich afterward, my favorite. We'd talked about her job stress, about the house she and Homer wanted to buy before she turned 36, because that's when you and Mom bought yours. She'd said, I want to make you proud, Dad. I want to build something real. I'd been proud, told her so, watched her smile. Now I sat on my bedroom floor, holding those signed documents, understanding that every word she'd said that day was calculated. The hug was calculated. The grilled cheese was calculated. The vulnerability about work stress. The reference to my marriage with Sarah. The desire to make me proud. All calculated. The papers scattered across my floor when I dropped them. I slumped back against my bed frame, head in my hands. My phone rang. The new phone I'd bought that morning at Target for $39 because I'd smashed my old one like an idiot. Philip's number showed on the screen. I answered. Philip, it's Dad. Dad, finally. What's going on? Are you okay? I'm fine. The loans are... There's been a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? His voice went up half an octave. Dad, it's $75,000. I know, I'm handling it. How's Yuki? How are the kids? Don't change the subject. Do you need money? I can wire... No, Philip, no, I've got this. I just need a few days to sort it out. Silence on the other end. Then, this has something to do with Frida's wedding, doesn't it? You never sent those pictures. I need to go. I'll call you this weekend. I hung up before he could argue, sat there surrounded by papers, evidence of my own stupidity and trust. My wedding invitation collection on the wall seemed to mock me. All those successful events, all that expertise, and I couldn't even protect myself from my own daughter. Someone knocked on my apartment door. I checked the time. 2:40 p.m. I gathered up the papers, shoved them back in the folder, stuffed everything in the shoebox, and pushed the box under my bed. Quentin Thompson stood in my doorway wearing golf pants and a polo shirt with the Riverside Golf Club logo. Emergency, you said. I was 2 under par. Come in. Sorry about your game. He walked into my living room carrying his leather briefcase, looking around at my simple furniture, my framed invitations, my broken phone still lying near the wall where I'd thrown it. He didn't comment on the phone. Quentin had been my friend long enough to know when not to ask questions. Show me what you've got. I handed him the folder. He sat on my couch, pulled out reading glasses, and started going through the papers. His expression didn't change, but his jaw tightened slightly. After 5 minutes, he set them down on my coffee table, aligned them perfectly parallel to the table edge. Lawyer habit. You signed these. They told me it was insurance paperwork. What exactly did they say? I explained May 2024. The dinner, the documents, the explanations about beneficiary forms and financial security. Frida's hug, Homer's helpful pointing, the grilled cheese sandwich. Quentin listened without interrupting. When I finished, he picked up the papers again, flipped through them slowly, set them back down. Your signature is on every page. The dates match the loan originations. There's notarization. He paused, removed his reading glasses. Foreman, this is criminal. Signature fraud. Elder financial abuse. Oregon has strict statutes. They could face serious prison time. Relief flooded through me for exactly 3 seconds. Then Quentin's expression registered. He looked like he did when he had to deliver bad news to opposing counsel. Professional, but grim. But there's a problem. You signed these documents voluntarily. Your signature is real, not forged. Quentin spread 3 legal pads across my coffee table, each one covered in his handwriting. Notes, timelines, statute references. He'd been working this problem in his head from the moment I showed him the papers. But they lied about what they were. Prove it! He pulled out a thick book from his briefcase. Oregon Revised Statutes. So heavy it made a thud on my table. It's your word against theirs. They'll say they explained everything. You're elderly and confused, misremembering. I'm not confused, Quentin. I'm 68, not 90. I know that. But to a judge? A daughter says she clearly explained loan co-signing to her father. He signed willingly. Now there's a family dispute because he regrets it. That's not what happened. He opened the statute book, showed me a page, highlighted sections about contract law, legal capacity, voluntary signatures. I believe you. But belief isn't evidence. You signed. There's no witness saying they deceived you. The legal principle is clear. Read before you sign. Ignorance of document contents isn't a defense. My coffee cup rattled against its saucer. I set it down on the side table, picked it back up, set it down again. So I'm just screwed? $75,000 and I'm screwed. I'm saying a criminal case won't stick. Civil case maybe, but expensive and uncertain. Family court would order mediation first. Could take years, thousands in legal fees. He wrote something on one of the legal pads, capital letters, circled it 3 times. Signed voluntarily. I got up, paced to the window. The rain had stopped. My reflection in the glass looked older than 68. What about elder abuse laws? Require proof of coercion or diminished capacity. You were functioning normally when you signed. Coordinating events, driving, managing your own finances. Any defense attorney would shred that argument. So there's nothing. There's civil court. Sue for damages, fraud, breach of fiduciary duty. But Foreman, he gestured at the statute book, the legal pads, the stack of documents. This will cost you more than the loans and legal fees, and you might lose. The signatures are legitimate. They'll claim they explained everything clearly, and you simply didn't pay attention. In civil court, that's often enough to shift liability back to the person who signed. I turned from the window. How long have we known each other? 32 years, since the Reynolds Charity Gala in '93. And in all that time, have you ever known me to sign something without understanding it? No, but you were grieving Sarah, lonely, trusting your daughter. The court will see someone who made an understandable mistake, not a victim of fraud. He softened his voice. I'm sorry, I wish I had better news. I should have listened to him. Should have thanked him for coming on his day off, ruining his golf game, being honest with me. Should have accepted that some battles can't be won through legal channels. Instead, I grabbed my new phone off the charging cable. Foreman, don't! Too late. I pulled up Frida's number, pressed call. She answered on the third ring. Dad! Twice in one day? What's... The loans, Frida. The $75,000 in loans you took out in my name. A pause. Not long enough. She should have been more surprised. What are you talking about? Don't play dumb. December, June, October. 3 loans. $25,000 each. My signature on every one. Oh, those. Dad, we talked about this. We did not talk about loans. My voice was getting louder. Mrs. Chen next door probably heard through the walls. Last year, the insurance paperwork. We explained everything. It was for your financial security, making sure you had credit available if you needed it. You seemed fine with it. You lied to me. You said it was beneficiary forms. Her voice cooled like water turning to ice. Dad, you're confused. We spent an hour explaining the documents. You signed each page after we went through them. If you didn't understand, you should have asked more questions. I trusted you. And we trusted you to read what you were signing. We're all adults here. You signed voluntarily. No one forced you. You manipulated. I'm sorry you're upset, but this is on you. Maybe ask Philip to help you understand financial documents better. I have to go. Honeymoon planning. Click. She hung up. I stood there with the phone pressed to my ear, listening to nothing. Then I threw it. Didn't mean to. Didn't decide to. My arm just moved and the phone went flying across my living room and hit the wall next to my framed wedding invitation collection. The screen spiderwebbed. The battery popped out and skittered under the couch. Quentin stood up. Foreman, I should go. Call me when you've calmed down. I'm calm? You just threw your phone through a wall. It was an accident. He looked at me for a long moment, then gathered his legal pads and statute book. I'll look into civil options, but don't expect miracles, and don't do anything stupid. After he left, I paced. Living room to kitchen, kitchen to bedroom, bedroom to bathroom, back to living room. The Chinese takeout I'd ordered sat on my counter, growing an ecosystem. Kung Pao chicken, $45 with delivery and tip. I'd spent more on food I didn't eat than my first month's rent in 1976. The universe has a twisted sense of proportion. 7 o'clock became 8. 8 became 9. The light outside my windows faded from gold to purple to black. Across town in their Pearl District condo, Frida and Homer were having a very different evening. I know this because I would learn about it later, piece it together from fragments. But that night, while I paced and raged and broke my phone, they were having their own crisis. Unpacked wedding gifts sat in boxes along their wall. Champagne bottles from the reception lined their counter. Homer sat at his laptop going through credit card statements, rubbing his temples. This is bad, Frida. Really bad. It was one reception. We'll deal with it. The vendors are asking for immediate payment because of the disruptions. Janet's demanding her full fee despite the dinner delay. The DJ wants his cancellation fee waived, but the venue won't cover it. The photographer Brad texted his partner, and now they want a lawsuit for defamation. So we pay them. With what money? We used everything for the wedding. Everything plus... Don't say it. The loans are due, Frida. All 3 of them. And your dad? My dad is fine. He called all upset, but he'll calm down. You're sure? I handled him. Told him exactly what we practiced. That we explained everything he signed voluntarily. He's just confused now. Homer's coffee cup rattled against the counter. He set it down, picked it up again, set it down. And he bought it? He didn't have a choice. It's his word against ours. We're legally covered. If Veronica's notarization holds up. Ronnie notarized everything perfectly. His signature is real. We're fine. Homer relaxed slightly. The old man's not as sharp as he used to be. He'll calm down. Probably just embarrassed he didn't read what he signed. Let's hope so. Can we please focus on fixing this reception disaster? I still can't believe... I told you we should have hired my coordinator choice. Oh, so now it's my fault? Their argument continued. Homer got up, went to the bathroom. In the mirror, he looked at his reflection. Dark circles under his eyes, lines around his mouth that hadn't been there 6 months ago. He opened the medicine cabinet, pulled out a bottle of Tums, chewed 3 of them. His hand trembled slightly as he gripped the sink edge, splashed cold water on his face. Then he pulled himself together, walked back out smiling. But I knew none of this. Not yet. I just knew that Frida had hung up on me, that Quentin couldn't help me, that I'd broken my own phone like an idiot. 10:30 rolled around. I stood in my living room surrounded by framed wedding invitations I'd collected over 35 years, events I'd coordinated, success stories, happy couples. Every invitation represented weeks of planning, hundreds of details, crisis management, and problem solving. I took down my own wedding program from 1980. The paper was yellowed, edges soft from age. I'd written an inscription on the inside cover in my 23-year-old handwriting. The most important thing in a wedding is trust. Young, idealistic, in love. That version of me believed it. 68-year-old me knew better. I set the program on my dining table and opened my laptop. My smash phone was useless, but I had my computer. I pulled up my old Outlook contact file from my consulting days. 3 years since I'd opened this. Names scrolled past. Caterers, florists, photographers, DJs, venue managers, hotel coordinators. 237 entries. I opened Excel, created a new spreadsheet, typed Frida Homer exposure analysis in the header cell. Below that, columns. Mortgage amount, car leases, credit cards, wedding vendors, known debts. Every financial pressure point I could identify. Then I opened Instagram. Frida's profile was public. A woman who seats her father by the bathroom doesn't understand privacy settings. Her latest post was from the wedding reception, timestamped at 5:18 p.m., before everything went wrong. The photo showed her and Homer cutting their cake, all smiles and white teeth. Caption, Living Our Best Life. Blessed Ashstream, wedding, worth every penny. I screenshot it, opened a new folder on my desktop, named it Research. The wedding program from 1980 sat next to my keyboard. I picked it up one more time, read my own handwriting. The most important thing in a wedding is trust. I'd spent 35 years building a career on trust. Trust between vendors and clients. Trust between coordinators and venues. Trust that when someone hired me to manage their most important day, I would do it right. Frida had learned from me, learned how to build trust, learned how to maintain relationships, learned how to coordinate complex operations without leaving fingerprints. She'd used everything I taught her to rob me. Fine. If they wanted to use my profession against me, they'd forgotten one crucial detail about event coordinators. We don't just plan events. We know how to dismantle them. I started typing. Names from my contact list. Vendors Frida and Homer might use. Venues they might need. Services they'd require as they tried to maintain their lifestyle on borrowed money and maxed credit cards. My smashed phone lay on the floor near the wall. Broken, useless, but I wasn't. Tuesday morning, I was up before dawn. The alarm on my new phone went off at 6, but I'd been awake for an hour already, lying in bed running scenarios. I showered, dressed in my usual khakis and button-down, made coffee and sat at my dining table with my laptop. 3 days of research started now. Real research, the kind that would give me ammunition. Multnomah County property records came up first. I typed in their address on Northwest Northrop Street. The Pearl District condo had sold for $650,000 18 months ago. Property tax assessment showed a mortgage of approximately $480,000. Monthly payment somewhere around $3,200, maybe $3,500 depending on their rate. I opened a new Excel file, typed financial vulnerability analysis across the top, made columns, income source, monthly cost, credit limit, current balance, breaking point. Frida's Instagram gave me the next pieces. I scrolled through months of posts, screenshots accumulating on my desktop. There was her BMW X5 in the driveway, license plate visible in 3 different photos. Homer's Mercedes E-Class parked beside it in others. I cross-referenced with Kelly Blue Book. Both leased, almost certainly. Those vehicles ran $600 and $800 per month, respectively. Designer handbags, restoration hardware furniture, weekend trips to wine country posted every few weeks, dinner at Kennard, breakfast at Tusk, drinks at Departure. Portland's expensive restaurants cycled through her feed like a rotation. I knew those prices. $40 for brunch, $80 for dinner, cocktails at $15 each. I made notes. Estimated. Calculated. By Wednesday afternoon, my spreadsheet showed a picture that made sense. Combined income around $140,000 before taxes. Monthly expenses pushing $12,500, even before the loan payments they supposedly owed me. They were living paycheck to paycheck while posting photos that screamed wealth. Classic American financial suicide. Thursday I followed Homer. Not close, not obvious. Just established his pattern. Left their condo at 8:15. Stopped at Stumptown Coffee on Broadway. Arrived at his office building on 5th Avenue by 8:55. Cascade Financial Advisors occupied the 3rd floor. I parked across the street, watched him walk in carrying his briefcase like a man heading to the gallows. He came out at 10:30, sat in his car for 15 minutes talking on his phone. His hands moved emphatically. Even from 50 yards away through car windows, I could read the body language. Stress, argument, desperation. I followed him to 3 different coffee shops that afternoon. Starbucks, then Pete's, then some local place with exposed brick and people typing on MacBooks. Either he had serious caffeine issues or was avoiding his office. Based on what I'd learned from Ted, I was betting on option B. The man was drinking his feelings, one overpriced latte at a time. Friday afternoon, I had my standing bridge game at the club. Ted Harrison sat across from me, laying down cards and talking about market conditions, interest rates, the usual banker conversation. I played my hands. 1-2, lost 3, kept my expression neutral. You hear about that mess at Cascade Financial? I laid down a card, casual. Cascade? Don't think so. What happened? One of their advisors got caught in a bad situation. Client lost a bundle, filed a complaint. Firm's doing internal review. Sounds serious? Very. Ted picked up my card, added it to his trick pile. If they find negligence, guy's license is toast. These small firms can't afford reputation damage. They'll cut him loose fast. Poor bastard. These things happen, though. Not to good advisors. This one apparently got overconfident, chased returns, basic rookie mistakes. He studied his remaining cards. Your play. I laid down my winning hand. Sometimes, rookie mistakes catch up to you. Ted won $200 off me that night, worth every penny for the information. He thought he was gossiping. I thought I was conducting reconnaissance. Perspective matters. Also, I let him win. My card skills haven't deteriorated that much. Back home Friday night, I sat surrounded by papers, spreadsheets, photographs. My apartment had transformed into a war room. Cold coffee cups multiplied on surfaces. I'd eaten granola bars for lunch, cold pizza for dinner. Mechanical survival, not pleasure. The picture was complete. Homer's job was their financial lifeline. $65,000 base salary plus commissions. If that income disappeared, they'd default on everything within 60 days. The house, the cars, the Instagram lifestyle, all built on financial quicksand. I poured myself 2 fingers of bourbon, the good stuff, the bottle I'd been saving for something worth celebrating. Sat at my table, staring at my research. They'd used my profession against me, used my trust, my relationships, my career-long reputation for reliability. Frida had learned everything from watching me coordinate events for 35 years. Learned how to manipulate people, maintain appearances, execute complex plans without leaving fingerprints. She'd learned too well, but she'd also forgotten one crucial detail about event coordinators. We don't just plan events, we know how to dismantle them. Homer's job investigation was already in progress. I didn't start that fire, but I could make sure it burned hot enough that his firm had no choice but to act. The social component was still missing, though. Frida's carefully maintained image, her Instagram perfect life, her network of envious friends and colleagues. She'd humiliated me publicly while she played perfect bride for social media. Turnabout wasn't just fair play, it was necessary. I pulled up my contacts, found Heather's number, typed, "Remember those wedding industry groups you're in? Facebook, Instagram? I need you to tell them a story, anonymously. Are you free tomorrow?" Her response came in 30 seconds. "What kind of story?" "A funny one, about a bride who forgot to invite her own father. Details changed enough for plausible deniability, specific enough that people will figure it out." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "You're playing with fire." "I know where the extinguishers are." Another pause. Finally, "Tomorrow. Coffee. You're buying." I closed my laptop, looked at my wedding program from 1980, still sitting on the table. Young, idealistic me had written about trust being the foundation of marriage. 68-year-old me understood something that 23-year-old me didn't. Trust was also the foundation of revenge. They'd trusted I was too old, too trusting, too powerless to fight back. They'd trusted their legal protections and plausible deniability. They'd trusted wrong. Saturday morning, I would push the first domino. By Monday, the chain reaction would be unstoppable. I had my plan, I had my target, I had my missing piece. Saturday morning arrived clear and cold. I met Heather at Barista, a cafe in northeast Portland, far enough from my neighborhood that we wouldn't run into anyone we knew. She was already there when I arrived, laptop open, coffee steaming, looking nervous. "We're really doing this?" I slid into the chair across from her. "We're telling a true story, anonymously. That's not illegal. It's petty. It's accurate." She stared at her laptop screen, cursor blinking in an empty text box. "People will figure out it's about Frida." That's the point. She humiliated me in front of 150 people. Posted 47 Instagram stories about her perfect wedding. Left out the part where she forgot her father. Forgot? Right. That's one word for it. So we're reminding people. The wedding industry is small. Portland wedding industry is tiny. Everyone talks. They'll eat her alive. I ordered coffee from the waiter, waited until he left. Yes, they will. Is the story ready? Heather's fingers hovered over the keyboard. I write. Heard the wildest story from a venue coordinator friend. Then what? We spent 20 minutes workshopping it, changed names, altered specific details, kept the core humiliation intact. Father of the bride, major financial contributor, seated at folding table near restrooms, while bride posed for Instagram photos. Daughter's dismissive response when confronted. 35 years coordinating events, never seen anything like it. Add the folding table detail, I said. Folding table near the restrooms. You want me to add that part? Add it. Her hands shook slightly while typing. Done. God help us both. She posted simultaneously to 3 Facebook groups. Portland Wedding Professionals, PDX Event Coordinators, Oregon Hospitality Network. Groups she'd been active in for years. Her anonymous account looked legitimate because it was legitimate. Alternate profiles she'd created years ago for industry discussions, where she didn't want her name attached. The post went live at 9:47 a.m. By noon, it had 23 comments. By 3 p.m., 47. The symmetry was poetic. The universe has a sense of humor, after all. I spent Saturday afternoon at home, drafting my other strike. Generic computer paper, careful wording. Dear Management of Cascade Financial Advisors, I am writing as a concerned individual who has witnessed questionable investment advice provided by one of your advisors, Homer Clark. Specific dates followed. Investment recommendations that lost money. Client complaints he'd dismissed. Questions about his fiduciary responsibility. Nothing I wrote was false. Ted had given me enough details to construct a credible complaint. The firm already had one client complaint on file. This anonymous letter would give them the push they needed to act decisively. I printed it at Staples using their public printer, paid cash, mailed it from the downtown post office in a different neighborhood, no return address, untraceable. Sunday I watched Heather's post gain traction. By evening, 89 comments, people speculating, was this the Grand Marquis wedding last weekend? OMG, I think I know who this is. Someone posted a screenshot from the hotel's event page. Another person confirmed they'd catered a wedding there recently. A third mentioned seeing posts about a Pearl District couple's wedding that matched the timeline. The dots were connecting themselves. I hadn't connected them. I just provided the dots. Monday morning, I parked across from Cascade Financial's building on Fifth Avenue. Homer arrived at 8:45, looking confident. Suit pressed, briefcase in hand, walking like a man who still had a job. At 10:37, he emerged carrying a cardboard box. The Walk of Shame Office Edition. I'd seen it before. Terminated employees always get a box for their desk items. He'd gone in with a briefcase, came out with a box. That's the professional equivalent of arriving in a tuxedo and leaving in your underwear. I sipped coffee from my travel mug and watched him sit in his car for 10 minutes. His head dropped forward onto the steering wheel once. Then he pulled out his phone, typed something, threw the phone on his passenger seat, and drove away. My old phone, still activated but with the broken screen, buzzed in my apartment that afternoon. 8 missed calls from Frida's number. I didn't listen to the voicemails immediately. Let them accumulate. Evidence of her panic. Tuesday morning, I finally played them. Dad, it's me. Again. I've called 8 times. Pick up. There are these posts online about the wedding, about you. People are sharing them, commenting, and my coworkers are asking questions, and I know this was you. Her voice shook with anger, not tears, still convinced she was the victim somehow. Second message, 20 minutes later. Fine, don't answer. But this is illegal, Dad. What you're doing? Harassment? Defamation? We could sue you. Homer says we should sue you, for everything. So call me back before this gets worse. Before we have to get lawyers involved. Call me. I deleted both messages. Heather called Tuesday afternoon. Have you seen the comments? Some of them. People have figured out it's Frida. They're tagging her workplace, her Instagram. It's gotten out of control. I opened my laptop, pulled up the Facebook groups. She was right. The comments had evolved from speculation to identification. Someone had posted a photo from Frida's Instagram showing the Grand Marquis venue. Another person confirmed the dates matched. A third posted a link to her company's website. The Portland wedding community has 200 people max, Heather continued. They're connecting dots. Someone posted a photo from the Grand Marquis event page showing your daughter. That's them connecting dots, not us. Foreman, there are comments calling her a narcissist, saying she's a bridezilla. One person wrote, "Imagine treating your own father like garbage. It's vicious." I paused. Good. Good? Jesus, Foreman, you wanted embarrassment. This is character assassination. She assassinated herself. I just told the truth. The truth can be a weapon. So can a folding table by a bathroom. Silence on the other end. Then she sighed. Just be careful. Please. After I hung up, I checked Frida's Instagram. Her last post was Monday morning. Photo of a coffee cup and laptop. Caption, bossing up this Monday. 73 likes. 12 comments. Nothing since then. Radio silence. For a woman who posted daily, sometimes hourly, that silence was deafening. Her Tuesday morning damage control post appeared briefly. Taking a few days off social media. Need some me time? Then that disappeared too. Deleted. Someone was panicking. My phone rang Tuesday evening. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Hello? Mr. Wright? This is Veronica Pierce, Frida's friend. We met at the wedding. I said nothing. I know you're angry. You have every right. But we need to talk. Just you and me. Alone. I have nothing to say to you. It's about the loans, the documents, the notarization. My grip tightened on the phone. I'm listening. Not on the phone. Meet me. Tomorrow. I'll tell you everything. Where the money went. What they planned. All of it. Why should I trust you? Her voice cracked slightly. Because I have copies. Of everything. And I'm scared enough to trade them for my life back. Why are you calling me? Because Homer didn't pay me. He promised $5,000 to notarize those documents. Said it was just paperwork, no big deal. He never paid. And now I'm looking at losing my license. Criminal charges. For helping them steal from you. I stood up, paced to my window. What exactly do you have? Copies of the original loan applications before they made you sign them. Documents showing the money transfers. Correspondence between Frida and Homer planning it. Everything. I kept insurance because I didn't trust them. Turns out I was right. You notarized fraudulent documents. I know. I know what I did. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm asking for a deal. You want revenge? I'll give you the ammunition. Just keep my name out of whatever you're planning. I looked out at the parking lot. Rain had started falling, streetlights reflecting off wet pavement. Tomorrow. Powell's Books Cafe, on Burnside, noon. I'll be there. She hung up. I stood holding the phone for a long moment, thinking through implications. Veronica had evidence. Real evidence. The kind that could turn this from revenge into prosecution. Or the kind they could use to bury me for harassment, defamation, all the things Frida had threatened in her voicemail. The game was changing. The dominoes I'd pushed were falling, but new pieces were appearing on the board. My phone buzzed. Text from Philip in Tokyo. Dad, weird question. Did something happen at Frida's wedding? Someone from Portland just sent me a Facebook link. Is everything okay? The ripples spreading farther than I'd calculated. Philip, halfway around the world, now pulled into this. I typed back, call you tomorrow, time difference. Everything's fine. I was lying. Nothing was fine. But it was also working exactly as planned. Financial collapse for Homer. Social humiliation for Frida. Their perfect Instagram life cracking apart like cheap porcelain. And now Veronica, offering evidence that could finish them completely. Tomorrow morning I'd find out if she was genuine or if this was their trap. Either way, I'd be ready. Wednesday morning I arrived at Powell's Books 15 minutes early. The cafe occupied the corner of the store, all exposed brick and industrial lighting. I chose a table in the back corner, positioned so my back was to the wall and I could see everyone entering. Veronica appeared at 9:03. Red eyes, makeup imperfect. Unusual for someone who'd been Frida's perfectly polished maid of honor. She carried a tan accordion folder against her chest, like armor. She sat without ordering, slid the folder across the table. Everything's in here. I opened it slowly. Official notary seals. My signature repeated across multiple documents. My finger traced the signature on the first page, recognizing the pen pressure, the slight upward hook on the R in right. I'd written that signature thousands of times over 35 years. Seeing it used against me felt like looking at photographs of my own funeral. I pulled out my phone, photographed each page. Evidence before anything could happen to the originals. Tell me how this started, I said. Veronica twisted a napkin in her hands, shredding it unconsciously. May last year, Homer showed up at my office. We'd known each other through Frida for a couple years. I thought we were friends. What did he say? That he'd made a mistake at work. Lost a client's money in bad investments. $60,000. Her voice cracked. Said if his firm found out, he'd lose his license, his career, everything. So he decided to steal from me instead. She nodded, tears starting. He said it wasn't stealing, that you were, no offense, elderly and wouldn't miss it, that you'd give Frida the money eventually anyway as inheritance. They were just accelerating the timeline. The phrase made my jaw tighten. Accelerating. He showed me calculations, how much you probably had in retirement accounts, Social Security, pension, made it sound like you were sitting on some fortune. She pulled out tissue, dabbed eyes. I needed the money. He promised $5,000. I was behind on rent, student loans, drowning. $5,000 would have covered 3 months. Did he pay you? She shook her head. Not a penny. Kept saying next month, next month. Then the wedding happened and I realized you didn't even have a seat. Your own daughter's wedding. And I thought, if they could do that to you, they could do worse to you. I'm going to lose everything. She was crying openly now. My license, my job, probably go to jail for helping them steal from you. And he never even paid me. I let her cry. Ordered coffee for both of us from a passing waiter. Made us look normal. Just two people having a difficult conversation. Not a conspiracy, unraveling. I need immunity, she said finally. Complete immunity. Or I'm not testifying to anything. I pulled out my phone. I'm calling my attorney. He'll want to review these documents. Then we'll talk about immunity. Back at my apartment an hour later, Quentin spread the documents across my dining table. He made 3 phone calls while I sat silent. To a prosecutor friend, a fraud investigator contact, the Notary Regulatory Board. Took detailed notes on his legal pad. Elder abuse, Class C felony, 5 years max. Finally he looked up. This is slam dunk criminal fraud. With Veronica's testimony and these documents, we can put them both away for years. I don't want them arrested. What? Not yet. Quentin removed his glasses, rubbed his eyes. Foreman, as your lawyer, I'm advising you that waiting is risky. As your friend, I'm telling you this is eating you alive, and you need to let it go. Noted, on both counts. I pulled out my phone, showed him the text exchange I'd obtained between Homer and Frida. Now here's what we're going to do. An hour later, I was back at Powell's. Veronica had waited, sitting in the same spot, untouched coffee going cold. I sat across from her. You're going to call Homer. Tell him Frida came to you yesterday, panicking. Wants to turn him in to save herself. Her face went pale. I can't. He'll know I'm lying. He's desperate. Desperate people believe what they need to believe. Her hands shook as she dialed. Put the phone on speaker between us. I leaned close to hear. Ronnie? Little busy right now. Homer, I need to tell you something. About Frida. Pause. What about her? She came to me yesterday, at my office. She was freaking out. About the loans, the documents, everything. And she asked me if there was any way to make it look like you did everything. Like I notarized documents you brought me, without her knowledge. Silence. 5 full seconds. Not breathing, not moving. When he spoke again, his voice was hollow. She said that. She's scared, Homer. She thinks if this goes to police, she can get immunity by testifying against you. She said something about, he manipulated me, too. I'm a victim. That bitch. Veronica's hand jumped at his venom. I told her I couldn't lie, that I wouldn't. But I thought you should know what she's planning. Where is she now? I don't know. She left my office yesterday afternoon. Haven't heard from her since. But Homer, she seemed serious. I think she's talking to a lawyer. Heavy breathing. Okay. Thanks for the heads up. What are you going to do? Whatever I have to. She's not throwing me under the bus. No fucking way. Click. He hung up. Veronica was shaking. I just lied to him. Completely lied. Frida never came to me. I know. He's going to confront her. They're going to fight. Yes. This is insane. Her voice broke. You're manipulating all of us. Yes. And when it's over, when they've torn each other apart and there's nothing left, then I'll go to the police. With your testimony, which I'll make sure protects you. Immunity, like you asked. How can I trust you? Because I keep my promises, unlike Homer, unlike my daughter. She left at 2:15, still crying, mascara destroyed, clutching her purse. I'd promised her immunity. I'd promised protection. I intended to keep those promises. Probably. I drove home with a book on the passenger seat. Robert Frost poetry. I'd bought it while walking aimlessly through Powell's after Veronica's confession, saw it. Remembered reading The Road Not Taken to young Frida. Bought it reflexively. Didn't know why. My phone buzzed. Quentin. Just confirmed with prosecutor friend. Veronica's testimony. Putz documents. Slam dunk case when you're ready. But Foreman, be ready soon. This is spiraling. He was right. The wedding chaos had been almost playful. The social media humiliation justified. But now I was manipulating a mentally unstable woman into destroying 2 people, one of whom was my daughter. I pulled into my apartment parking lot, sat with the engine off. My phone rang. Unknown number. Should have trusted my instinct not to answer. Hello? Dad? Frida's voice thick with tears. Dad, please. Homer just called me screaming about Ronnie saying I was going to the police. I don't understand what's happening. Why is everyone turning on us? Dad, I need you. Please. Can we talk? Please? The please broke something. Or maybe fixed something. I couldn't tell anymore. Where's Homer now? He left. Just grabbed his keys and left. Said I betrayed him. That I was going to blame everything on him. I don't know what Ronnie told him, but it's not true. Dad, none of this is what you think. We can explain. Please. I sat in my car, phone pressed to ear, watching afternoon shadows lengthen across the parking lot. Tomorrow, my apartment, noon. Come alone. Thank you. Thank you, Dad. I hung up before she could finish the lie. Thursday morning, my phone buzzed at 9:47. Text from Heather. Friend at Cascade says Homer Clark terminated this morning. Effective immediately. I stood at my kitchen counter, coffee cup halfway to mouth. Set it down carefully. Read the message 3 times. Pulled up LinkedIn. refreshed Homer's profile. Open to opportunities appeared in his headline. The corporate euphemism for just got fired made me smile slightly. Within 3 hours, he'd removed his employer entirely. By afternoon, his profile was private. Professional erasure complete. At 11:30, I sat in Quentin's office signing lawsuit documents. Stack of papers 3 inches thick. My signature appeared 17 times. Ironic, given they'd forged mine to start this mess. "This will destroy them financially," Quentin said. "You know that." "That's the point. $120,000. They'll never pay it. You'll end up with a judgment they can't satisfy." "I don't want their money. I want their house, their cars, their perfect Instagram life. I want them to lose everything like they tried to take everything from me. This goes beyond recovery. This is scorched earth." I signed page 15. "You say that like it's a bad thing," his paralegal filed electronically. "Document number 2025, CV Mo847, Wright Visa Clark and Clark. Public record, permanent." I made 3 phone calls that afternoon. Ted from Bridge Club, a former colleague at Wells Fargo, a credit union manager. Each call casual, mentioning ongoing litigation with family members, dropping names Frida and Homer Clark. Knew the information would flag their accounts. Can't refinance with pending lawsuit. By 4 p.m., their financial options had narrowed to 0. Homer's LinkedIn profile changed from financial advisor to open to opportunities. So fast, I got whiplash. The professional equivalent of running away to join the circus, except less dignified. At 6:30, I drove past their Pearl District condo. Couldn't help myself. Lights on, shadows moving behind curtains. Animated, arguing. I parked half a block away, windows cracked. Muffled shouting carried down the street. Their neighbor Marcus emerged from the building. Phone to his ear. "Dude, they've been screaming for an hour. I'm recording this in case I need it for noise complaints." I watched him hold his phone toward their window, recording. Drove away before being noticed. Satisfied but queasy. Thursday night, scrolling Facebook, I saw the post in Pearl District Neighbors. Marcus had uploaded a 47-second video. Muffled but audible shouting. Crashes. Frida's voice, "Your fault." Homer, "Then leave," comments multiplied. "Call police? Isn't that the Clark couple? Same people from the wedding drama?" By 11 p.m., 89 shares, 234 comments. Their social destruction was permanent now. Digital, searchable, forever. The neighbor who recorded their fight was named Marcus. Appropriate. Marcus Aurelius, philosopher emperor who said the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. This Marcus apparently hadn't read his namesake's work. Friday morning at 2:31, loud knocking woke me. I stumbled to the door in t-shirt and sweatpants, checked the peephole. Frida, alone. Mascara-stained face. My hand hovered over the deadbolt. Frozen. More knocking. "Dad, please. I know you're awake. I saw your light. Please." I unlocked the door, opened it 6 inches. Chain still on. Frida's face, completely destroyed. Hair a mess. Wearing yoga pants and an oversized hoodie that said, "Live, laugh, love." She was doing none of those things. "Can I come in?" I hesitated 5 full seconds. Slid the chain off. She sat on my couch, the same couch she'd sat on as a teenager. Shaking, not from cold, from shock. I made tea automatically. Set the mug in front of her. She didn't touch it. We sat in silence for 2 minutes. Longest 2 minutes of my life. Homer left, she finally said. Took his car, some clothes. Said he needed to think. That was 8 hours ago. He's not answering his phone. I said nothing. Sipped my tea. You did this. All of it. The wedding disasters, the social media posts, his job, the lawsuit. You. Yes. Her face crumpled. Why? We're your family. You sat me at a folding table. By a bathroom. At your wedding. Silence. That's what this is really about, isn't it? I continued. Not even the money. You were ashamed of me. Your old father, who drives a Camry and wears suits from Macy's, didn't fit the image. That's not. Where was my name on the seating chart, Frida? She whispered. There wasn't one. For you. We didn't make one. Because? Long pause. Then breaking. Because Homer said having an old guy in the photos would make us look less successful. That your car in the parking lot would embarrass us. That your clothes, your jokes, everything about you would ruin the aesthetic. And I listened. I agreed. I let him convince me that my own father was an embarrassment. My chest tightened. I gave you everything. College tuition, $35,000. Down payment, $20,000. I showed up to every birthday, every graduation, and you gave me a folding table? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Dad. I've been sorry every day since. Tears streaming now. When I saw you leave the wedding, I knew. I knew we'd made a terrible mistake. But you didn't call, didn't text, didn't apologize. I was embarrassed. Then everything started falling apart, and I got scared. Then I got angry instead of sorry. But now I'm just tired and scared, and I need you. You need me, now. After you robbed me, after you humiliated me, now you need me. She nodded, tears streaming. Yes, I'm pregnant. My teacup stopped halfway to my mouth. What? 3 months. We saw the ultrasound last month. The baby's heartbeat. We were so happy. Homer cried. I'd never seen him cry before. Her voice broke completely. We were going to tell everyone after the wedding, make it this big announcement. But now everything's ruined, and Homer's gone, and we're losing the house, and I don't know what to do. There's a baby coming, and we have nothing. She pulled out her phone, showed me a grainy black and white image. This is your grandchild. This baby is going to be born into nothing. No house, no money. Parents who destroyed their lives. What did this baby do to deserve that? I stared at the ultrasound, could barely make out the tiny form. Right there. Her finger touched the screen gently. That's the head. That's my baby. Your grandchild. She texted me the photo, in case you want to see your grandchild before you destroy their life. She left at 4:17 a.m. I watched the microwave clock. 4:17 became 4:18, became 4:19. I'd sent my pregnant daughter out into the dark, crying, alone, with nowhere to go. The ultrasound photo glowed on my phone. 12 weeks old. Had fingers and toes now, according to Frida. Could yawn, could hiccup, could exist completely unaware that its grandparents and parents were tearing each other apart? I'd filed a lawsuit for $120,000 against a pregnant woman and her unemployed husband. In the eyes of the law, I was right. In the eyes of any decent human being, I was a monster. Sunrise came around 5:30. Light crept across my apartment, illuminating lawsuit documents spread across my dining table. Page after page translating to, you will lose everything. Your baby will be born in that rubble. I tried calling Quentin at 4:15. Got voicemail. Quentin, it's me. Call me when you wake up. Something happened. Frida came by. She's pregnant. 3 months. I didn't know. Call me. Maybe we should withdraw the lawsuit. Maybe this has gone far enough. I don't know anymore. I sat in the chair by my window all morning. Didn't turn on TV. Didn't check phone. Made coffee, forgot about it. Still didn't drink it. At 6:15, my phone rang. Frida's number. Her voice was different. Flat. Empty. Dad, I need you to meet me somewhere. Right now. There's something you need to see. About the money. About what really happened. And about why I'm telling you now, instead of keeping it secret until court. 6:45, Friday morning, I pulled into the parking lot of Roosevelt Elementary, the playground where I'd pushed Frida on swings every Saturday when she was 7 years old. She'd chosen the location. Manipulation or genuine nostalgia, I couldn't tell anymore. Her car was already there. She sat on the same bench we'd sat on 2 decades ago, watching me approach. Same hoodie from the night before. Hadn't slept. Mascara still smudged. I sat on the opposite end. 3 feet between us, feeling like 3 miles. She handed me a manila envelope with shaking hands. Everything's in here. Bank statements. Timeline. Where every dollar went. I read while she talked. My finger traced the numbers. 25,000 December 2023. 25,000 June 2024. 25,000 October 2024. Homer's work emails printed out. Client complaint. Documentation of his losses. Homer came to me May last year, she said, panicking. Said he'd lost $60,000 of a client's money, that if his firm found out, we'd lose everything. So you decided to steal from me instead. We called it borrowing. He said it was like an advance on my inheritance, that you'd leave me everything eventually anyway, we just needed it sooner. I'm 68, not dying. I know that now, her voice cracked. But then, Homer made it sound reasonable. Like we were just shifting the timeline. He researched your social security, your pension, said you didn't need that much money. You discussed my finances behind my back. He made spreadsheets, projections, said we'd pay you back before you even noticed. I noticed. She told me about the 2 weeks in 2010 when I'd broken my leg, how she'd taken off college to care for me, made breakfast, helped me to the bathroom, watched old movies together. I loved you, Dad. I still love you. I just got lost. Homer got in my head. I made terrible choices. I remembered those 2 weeks, how sweet she'd been. My hand almost reached toward hers on the bench. Almost. Maybe people could change. Maybe desperation made people do things they regretted. Then I asked the question that had been burning in my chest since the wedding. Why the folding table? Why by the bathroom? She froze. 30 seconds passed. 40. A full minute of silence. Finally whispered, Homer said having you in the photos would make us look less successful. Less successful. That your clothes, your car, everything about you was old, that people would judge us, that it would ruin the aesthetic of our wedding album. The word aesthetic hit like a physical blow. I stood up, walked 3 steps away, turned back. You let him convince you that your father was an embarrassment. I'm sorry, You're sorry you got caught. You're sorry your plan fell apart. You're not sorry you did it. That's not true. I've been sorry every day since the wedding? Since I left? Or since the loans were discovered? Which moment of sorry are we talking about? She was crying now. Please, Dad, I'm pregnant. My grandchild needs parents who aren't criminals. Leave. I walked to my car, left her crying on that bench, drove directly to Portland Police Central Precinct, asked for the fraud detective, waited 45 minutes in the lobby. Detective Paulson took my statement for 2 hours. I provided Veronica's documents, bank records, and one more thing. A recording. I'd been recording on my phone in my pocket the entire playground conversation. Oregon is one party, consent. My recording was legal. Her confession was admissible. This is one of the clearest elder abuse cases I've seen, Paulson said. You're willing to go forward? Yes. Your daughter's going to jail. You understand that? I understand they stole $75,000 from me using forged documents. I understand Oregon law treats elder financial abuse as a Class C felony. Paulson smiled slightly. You've done your research. I had a good lawyer. Veronica arrived within the hour, gave her statement. Arrest warrants issued that afternoon. I didn't watch the arrests. Got a text from Paulson at 4:17 p.m. Both subjects in custody. Later learned details. Homer arrested at a friend's apartment. Frida arrested at their condo, alone, packing belongings. Both processed, booked, arraigned next morning. Bail set at $50,000 each. Philip wired bail money for Frida. She'd called him from jail, crying. Homer's parents bailed him out 2 days later. The police station waiting room had posters about neighborhood watch and drug awareness. One said, see something, say something. I'd seen my daughter commit fraud, and I was saying something. Civic duty at its finest. 1 week before the scheduled trial, prosecutor Sandra Chen called. Mr. Wright, we need to discuss a complication. The defense attorney filed a motion for leniency based on Mrs. Clark's pregnancy. She's now in her 2nd trimester. They're arguing incarceration would endanger the fetus. I said nothing. The defense is proposing a plea deal. Probation instead of prison, restitution payment plan, community service. They'd plead guilty, but avoid jail. And if I say no, we go to trial. With the pregnancy factor, a jury might be sympathetic. The plea deal guarantees convictions, guarantees restitution, guarantees consequences. Prison is uncertain. How long do I have to decide? 48 hours. I spent Saturday at Columbia River Gorge, sat at a waterfall overlook for 3 hours. Didn't hike, didn't move, just watched waterfall. Sunday night at 10 p.m. I called Chen. I'll accept the plea deal with conditions. What conditions? The public apology. I want it specific. I want her to name what she did. Elder financial abuse, fraud, and I want her to apologize for the wedding. The wedding isn't part of the criminal case. Then make it part of the plea. She apologizes for everything, or I don't accept. Monday morning, September 8th, Multnomah County Circuit Court. I arrived 30 minutes early, sat in back row. Frida and Homer entered separately, hadn't spoken in weeks. sat at defense table not looking at each other. Frida visibly pregnant now, 18 weeks, wearing a loose dress. Homer in a borrowed suit, too big for him, looking 10 years older. Judge Hoffman read charges. Both pled guilty. She announced sentences. Homer, 18 months probation, 500 hours community service, 5-year ban from financial services. Frida, 12 months probation, 120,000 restitution over 10 years, $1,000 per month, community service at elder care facility. After sentencing, Frida approached me in the hallway. Homer was already gone. Thank you for not sending me to prison. I looked past her, not at her. I didn't do it for you. I know, but still, thank you. You'll pay every penny, every month, for 10 years. I will, I promise. Your promises don't mean much to me anymore. She flinched. I understand. Do you? Do you understand that I'll never forget? That every time I see you, I'll remember that folding table? That I'll remember you telling me I was too old for your wedding photos? I'm so sorry, Dad. Sorry doesn't fix it. Can I call you when the baby comes? Long pause. Maybe. 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 When he's born. If you've been making payments. If you've been following probation. If you prove you're actually changing. Maybe then. What about trust? Trust doesn't return, Frida. It has to be rebuilt. That takes years. Maybe decades. Maybe never. October 2025. 4 months after the wedding. Their Pearl District condo sold at auction for $620,000. After paying off the mortgage, bank fees, and taxes, they walked away with $95,000. That money disappeared into moving costs, lawyer fees, medical bills, and first-last deposit on a studio apartment in East Portland. 400 square feet, $950 a month. Homer worked the night shift at UPS loading dock, $16 an hour. Frida on medical leave, high-risk pregnancy, no income. Combined, they made about $3,500 a month after taxes. After rent, utilities, baby costs, and the $1,000 restitution payment, they lived paycheck to paycheck. Frida's Instagram was deleted. All social media gone. Couldn't face the comments. The wedding photos sat in a storage unit box, unopened. The public apology ran in the Oregonian on September 15th. Page B7, between a car accident report and a missing cat notice. I bought 5 copies. 1 to keep, 1 for Philip, 1 for Quentin, 1 for my files, and 1 that sat next to my canceled Bridge Club membership card. Sometimes you need visual reminders of the life you used to have versus the life you chose. I'd lost 15 pounds. My clothes didn't fit right. I quit Bridge Club permanently. Started seeing a therapist weekly for the first time in my life. Quentin had insisted. My apartment felt emptier than before, though nothing physical had changed. The invitation collection still hung on the wall, but I didn't look at it anymore. Philip called weekly from Tokyo. Dad, Yuki and I are moving back next summer. June, probably. The kids should grow up near their grandfather. I'm fine, Philip. No, you're not. Quentin said you look terrible. That you've lost weight. Quit everything. Quentin talks too much. He's worried. I'm worried. Dad, you won. But it doesn't feel like winning, does it? Long silence. No, I finally said. It doesn't feel like winning. You valued justice over fraud. There's a difference. Is there? Because from here, the line seems pretty blurry. October 28th, 2:17 a.m. My phone rang. Frida's number. Dad, the baby came. He's early. 5 weeks early. They have him in the NICU. I sat up in bed. Is he okay? They think so. His lungs are underdeveloped. They have him on oxygen, but they say he should be fine. Where's Homer? At work, night shift. He can't miss it, or they'll fire him. We need the money. So you're alone? Yes, and I'm scared. And I know I don't deserve to ask, but please, Dad, please come. I need you. I sat in the dark. Clock glowing. 2:17 a.m. Which hospital? OSU, 5th floor NICU, room 5-17. I'll be there in 30 minutes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Frida? Yes? I'm coming for him, not for you. Do you understand that? Voice breaking. Yes, I understand. I drove through empty Portland streets. Arrived at OHSU at 2:47 a.m. The nurse checked my ID. Only 2 visitors at a time. Are you grandfather? Yes. He's in Bay 7, 5 pounds 2 ounces. Breathing well, he's a fighter. I approached the incubator, tiny baby with tubes, wires, monitors beeping softly. Frida stood nearby, giving me space. We named him Forrest, she said quietly. After you. Forrest Philip Clark. I didn't respond, just looked at the baby. I thought you'd want to know. He's very small. The doctors say he'll grow, that he'll be fine, just needs time. I touched the glass. We all need time. Does this mean, are we... I turned to face her. I'm here for him. Because he's innocent. Because he deserves a grandfather who shows up. But you and I, we're not fixed. We're not okay. We're just existing in the same space, for his sake. She nodded, tears falling. I'll take that. It's more than I deserve. Yes, it is. I stayed 20 minutes, watched the baby breathe, watched monitors beep, then left, drove home through empty streets, sat in my car in the parking lot for 10 minutes before going inside. Text from Philip. Yuki and I bought plane tickets, June 15th. We're coming home, Dad. The kids can't wait to see Grandpa every week. I typed. Good. Frida's baby was born tonight. Premature but healthy. You're an uncle. Philip. That's wonderful. How do you feel? I stared at the question. How did I feel? I'd destroyed my daughter's life. Got my money back. Got convictions, probation, public apology. Got my revenge. And I felt empty. Tired. Old. But looking at that baby through glass, I'd felt something else. Something like purpose. I don't know yet, I typed. Ask me in 10 years. Inside my apartment, I made tea. Sat at the dining table where I'd planned everything. Where lawsuit documents once spread. Where evidence once accumulated. The table was empty now except my phone. Screenshot of Forrest's first photo on the screen. Tiny baby in NICU. Fighter. Survivor. I thought about justice. About revenge. About family. About the cost of being right. Realized I won and I lost. And somehow, both things were true. 6 months later, April 2026, an envelope arrived. No return address. Inside, a wedding photo. Professional shot from Frida's reception. Main room, head table, guests laughing. Far background, barely visible. Folding table by bathroom. Empty chair. Someone had circled it in red pen. Handwritten note. So everyone remembers what you did. A wedding guest. I stared at it for a long moment, then placed it in the drawer with lawsuit documents, newspaper apology, restitution schedule, evidence, memory, history. Close the drawer. Some wounds heal. Some stay open forever. Some turn into scars you carry but learn to live with. Checked my phone. $1,000 payment from Frida received. Direct deposit. On time. 9th consecutive month. Made note on calendar. Forrest 6-month checkup. Thursday 6 p.m. At set reminder. Would show up. Philip moved back in June with Yuki and the kids. They bought a house 10 minutes from my apartment. Sunday dinners started again. Different than before. Quieter. But something. Every Thursday I went to Forrest's doctor appointments. Stood next to Frida in waiting rooms. We didn't talk much. Just compared notes on the baby. Weight gain. Milestones. Development. Homer stopped coming to appointments after the 3rd month. Working too much, Frida said. I didn't ask more. Didn't care. September 2026, 1 year after the plea deal, Frida's probation ended. She'd made every payment, completed every hour of community service, followed every rule. She called me after her final probation meeting. It's over. I'm done. Congratulations. Dad, I know we're not okay. I know trust isn't back. But I've been thinking, maybe we could have coffee sometime. Just talk? I looked out my window, watched cars pass, thought about folding tables and wedding photos, and $75,000 and tiny babies in NICU incubators. Maybe, I said. Not yet. But maybe someday. I'll wait, however long it takes. Good. I hung up, went to my calendar. Circle a date 2 weeks away, Forrest's first birthday party. Would show up, would bring a gift, would stay an hour, would leave. That was enough. For now. Maybe forever. Some things, once broken, stay broken. You just get better at living with the pieces. But sometimes, very slowly, in the spaces between the cracks, something new grows. Not the same as before. Never the same. just different, just real. I made dinner for one, sat at my table, ate slowly, washed one plate, one fork, one glass. This was my life now. Hollow victory, expensive justice, complicated family, careful boundaries, not better, not worse, just what I'd chosen. And some days looking at photos of Forrest learning to crawl, hearing Philip's kids call me grandpa, watching Frida make every single payment without fail. Some days it almost felt like maybe, eventually, it might add up to something other than emptiness, but probably not. Probably this was it, the best version of the ending. Everyone alive, everyone paying what they owed, everyone showing up when required, everyone permanently scarred, but functional. Yeah, I could live with that. I was living with that. And maybe, in another decade when Forrest was 10 and trust had maybe started to rebuild, and time had maybe softened the edges, maybe then it would feel different. But for now, this Thursday afternoon, scheduling next week's appointment, checking the restitution payment had cleared, planning Philip's Sunday dinner. For now, this was enough. If you liked this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.